Good morning, everyone. Dr. Stillman here with Amy Arp for another
Hello.
episode of Monday Masterclass. Our new podcast is going out on Substack. It's stillmanmd.substack.com. And today is the first of many book reviews. The format is either going to be Amy and I review the book together, or we invite a guest on, particularly the author, to discuss the book with us.
Mm-hmm.
I decided not to try to get these guys on because we are a health and wellness, blog, podcast, whatever you call it. And while I think these guys are really smart in terms of management, I really don't know if they have any background in what we do. And people may think it's a little odd for a doctor to be reviewing a book that's found in the business and economics section of the bookstore. But the reason that I wanted to review it is that there is so much information out there on health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
It's, amazing. And one of the big problems we actually face in helping people to get the results that they desire is that they've actually been inundated with so much information that they've become totally misinformed. Very effectively, I can only call it propagandized by both the conventional medical world and the integrative medical world. They've heard all kinds of things and all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
stories are going on in their head about what it means to be healthy and well. And one of the biggest misconceptions I think that they have is that even though they know a lot of stuff, they're taking action effectively in order to achieve success. And I always
Mm-hmm.
tell people the number 1 and 2 reasons for people to fail in the practice is failure to engage and failure to execute. Failure to execute, failure to engage, I have to say are basically tied. And I would say that these two problems, I don't think there's a better solution for overcoming them than this book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution. So
Mm-hmm.
why was I so impressed by this book? So the number one concept, the opening concept of the book is essentially that people and their lives and their businesses, and of course they deal with it in the business world, but I'm dealing with it in the business of your life as a client, if you're a coaching client, or a patient as a patient. Your life is a whirlwind. It's a whirlwind of activity. There's taking
Mm-hmm.
the kids to school, taking them to sports, parent teacher conferences, ladies' luncheons, business
Just everything in
meetings,
life. Everything in
everything. And they call that the whirlwind. Everyone has a whirlwind. We tend to attract busy, successful people who are not willing to settle for the mediocrity into which their health is descending as they get older,
Mm-hmm.
but who aren't sure how to get out of that. And a big piece of this is, can we hold the whirlwind off for you to actually figure out what you have to do in order to get well, and then take the time to actually do it? That's the engagement and execution piece.
Mm-hmm.
They saw the same thing happening in the business world. Business owners, business leaders didn't have the time away from the whirlwind of day-to-day operations to succeed. And they realized that if they just had one 30-minute meeting every week, they could overcome this problem. And this problem to me is so serious in the medical and coaching space that I even decided to operationalize it in the medical and coaching practices with what I call the optimal wellness action plan. And the optimal wellness action plan is basically pulled out of the 4 disciplines of execution. And what are those 4 disciplines? Because these are the disciplines that help people overcome this tendency of their life to pull them away from their wellness. And that ultimately dooms them to progressively worse and worse and worse health, despite often escalating medical costs, escalating bills or invoices every month for supplements or lab testing or therapies or doctor's visits or whatever. Things get worse despite them putting potentially more and more money and effort into actually getting well. So what
Mm-hmm.
are these 4 disciplines of execution, and how do they help us get out of the whirlwind and into a concrete, comprehensive plan that helps us to not only execute, but stay engaged with a program of care? These are the 4 disciplines of execution that they basically boiled everything down to for success. They are: number 1, you have to define a wild